Ethan Cole lived a quiet life on the edge of a scenic lakeside community, where his land stretched just beyond the boundaries controlled by the local HOA, while others followed strict neighborhood rules. Ethan kept to himself, valuing privacy over appearances, but his peace didn't go unnoticed. Across the road, the HOA president, a controlling woman known for enforcing every rule to the extreme, had started watching his property with growing irritation, and one morning, without warning, the rumble of heavy trucks shattered Ethan's silence. Hook. Something had crossed onto his land and it wasn't stopping. Construction trucks rolled directly across Ethan's property, tearing up grass and carving deep tire tracks. Workers moved quickly, acting as if they had every right to be there. Ethan rushed out, demanding answers, but the site manager casually dismissed him. Claiming the HOA had approved an expansion road, there was just one problem. Ethan's land was never part of any agreement. Hook. Someone had made a decision they weren't authorized to make. Ethan walked straight to the HOA office and confronted the president. She didn't apologize. Instead, she spoke with complete confidence, insisting the expansion was for the community's benefit. When Ethan showed his property documents, she barely glanced at them, according to her. He was in the way of progress. Hook. She thought she had the power, but she hadn't seen everything yet. By evening, the damage was undeniable. Tire marks had destroyed parts of Ethan's land, and temporary markers had been placed as if construction would continue the next day. Neighbors watched quietly, unsure whether to speak up. Some whispered that the HOA had gone too far, but no one challenged it openly. Ethan stood alone, staring at what had been taken from him in a single day. Hook. He wasn't going to argue anymore. He was going to act. That night, Ethan made a series of calls, calm, precise, and deliberate. He reviewed his documents, checked boundary lines, and confirmed what he already knew: every inch of that damaged land belonged to him. But instead of escalating the situation publicly, he prepared something far more decisive. Everything would change. Before sunrise, workers arrived, not HOA workers, but Ethan's dot. By the time the first HOA truck approached again, a massive steel barrier stood firmly at the edge of his property, reinforced, immovable, and placed exactly on his legal boundary line. The trucks stopped. Drivers stepped out, confused. There was no way forward. Hook. For the first time, the HOA had been blocked. The HOA president arrived shortly after, visibly frustrated. She demanded the barrier be removed immediately, claiming it interfered with their approved project. Ethan remained calm. He handed over official documents proving the land was his and that no permission had ever been granted. Her confidence began to crack. The situation was no longer in her control. As the argument drew attention, more neighbors gathered. Quiet conversations turned into open discussions. Some admitted they had questioned the HOA's decisions before, but were afraid to speak. Others began reviewing their own property lines. What started as one conflict was exposing a pattern. Hook. This wasn't just about Ethan anymore. Faced with growing scrutiny and undeniable proof, the HOA president had no choice but to step back. The trucks were ordered to leave. The project halted instantly. For the first time, her authority was challenged, and it showed. Ethan didn't celebrate. He simply stood firm, knowing the outcome had been inevitable. Hook, the silence that followed, said everything. In the days that followed, the damaged land was addressed, and the HOA's actions were quietly corrected. Ethan's steel barrier remained not as a symbol of conflict, but as a clear line that would never be crossed again. The neighborhood changed after that. People spoke more freely, questioned more openly, and respected boundaries more carefully. And Ethan, he returned to his quiet life, this time uninterrupted. Final hook. Some lines, once defended, are never challenged again.